So we are good to go.
Yes, sir.
It's already late. Where's Arjun?
He's looking for universities, right? Maybe he's held up there.
You look so tense. By the way, did you get to choose the university?
No, I'm unable to find a university that meets my requirements.
Whoa. Meet your requirements? What exactly are you looking for?
I'm looking for a place that gives me an opportunity to grow, to excel, to invent, and to innovate. I want to be a part of an institution that paves my way to discover myself and to witness the world moving forward in technology. I want to go to a place that sets a futuristic pattern of education filled with ideas and radical performances. Basically, I want to live my dream.
Dayanand Sagar University. Live the dream.
So good morning, everybody. A warm welcome to all our distinguished speakers, and also a warm welcome to all the students on a Sunday morning. I know it's not easy to commit to a webinar, to a virtual webinar, but yes, the topic is very interesting today. We have been having a lot of webinars on Sundays where we had nursing, nursing sciences, we had pharmaceutical sciences, but this Sunday is something very different. It's a field of creativity. It's a field where every day you find a lot of innovation coming in. And hence, we also chose to do this webinar on a Sunday morning. So I'd like to welcome all the students and all the admission staff of Dayanand Sagar University. So today the webinar is going to talk about careers in B design. And while we talk about B design, Dayanand Sagar University is introducing two new specializations. One is the product design and the other one is the user experience design. So definitely a good chance for all the attendees to interact with the senior academicians as well as the senior professionals from the industry. Before we move on and start with the various speakers giving their thoughts about this, I would like to take the opportunity of introducing all the speakers for today's webinar. I start with the opportunity of introducing our Honorable Vice Chancellor for Dayanand Sagar University, Dr. K.N.B. Murthy. Sir is the Professor for Computer Science Engineering and the Vice Chancellor at Dayanand Sagar University. Sir has been the former Vice Chancellor for PES University at Bangalore. Sir holds a bachelor's degree in electrical power engineering, master's degree in electrical engineering from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and PhD in computer science and engineering from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras. Sir has worked as a research specialist in parallel computing at New Mexico State University, US. He is also currently a member of Karnataka State Higher Education Council and the Academic Senate member of IIIT Dharwad. A warm welcome to you, sir.
Thank you.
Our speaker number 2 for the day is Mr. Arvind Sunivas. He's been a veteran in the industry, more so with almost 36 years of experience in the IT industry through TCS, working across different stages of an IT software lifecycle in different industry domains such as banking, finance, insurance, education, and manufacturing. He has worked in different roles, starting as a junior programmer analyst, progressing to heading a multi-country account with my unit product head before being a part of the group level initiative of business excellence, interacting with aerospace, manufacturing, retail, IT, research, hospitality, and chemical companies in the Tata Group. A warm welcome to you, Mr. Arvind Sunivas. Our speaker number 3 for the day is Mr. Nirmal Joseph. Again, he's from the industry. He's an innovation manager with about a decade of experience in the field of process R&D in jewelry manufacturing and innovation. He has worked on diverse projects, from designing and establishing a first of its kind Karigar Center and integrated jewelry manufacturing setup with all modern amenities, designing and developing a frugal automation for jewelry component manufacturing, and working on solving other age-old problems that plague traditional jewelry manufacturing through intelligent use of technology and innovation principles. He is also an innovation trainer and evangelist and the anchor for Titan Company's Innovation Champion program that has trained and developed more than 400 employees as innovation champions who now apply design thinking tools to solve their company's top challenges. It's going to be a great opportunity to listen to him, and he would be talking on the topic design thinking from an industry perspective. A warm welcome to Mr. Nirmal Joseph.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Our speaker number 4 for the day is Professor Dr. Sonal Keshwani. She has done her PhD from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Dr. Sonal has worked on design methods for creativity and biologically inspired design during her PhD at IISc. Her research interests include creativity, biologically inspired designs, knowledge-based system, and conceptual design. She wishes to apply emerging technologies to design to add value to design solutions. Post PhD, she was a guest researcher at the School of Knowledge Science, Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. And prior to her PhD, she was a quality engineer at Tata Motors, Pantnagar for about 3 years. She would be touching upon the topic which is very important for today, the design program at Dayanand Sagar University and the specializations on offer. A warm welcome to Dr. Sonal Keshwani. Our next speaker for the day is again from the industry, Mr. Anas K.A. He has a Master of Design and degree from Center of Product Design and Manufacturing, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has 18 years of experience as designer in various industries. He is currently working as senior consultant, global design thinking practice at TCS Interactive. Before this, he has worked as a head of design, UX strategist, lead of user experience design at Design Lab, TCS Digital Enterprise, Kochi. He is a product designer who is passionate in mentoring design teams. He has written many blogs to reach young designers. It will be a great opportunity to listen to him. He would be touching upon the topic user experience design from an industry perspective. A warm welcome to Mr. Anas K. And finally, we move on to the last speaker of the day, who would be Professor Dr. BSc Ranjan. He has done his PhD from Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. Dr. Ranjan has worked on development of method for creativity assessment during design process in his PhD and development of design model and theory during his MSc Engineering at Center for Product Design and Manufacturing, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. His research interest includes knowledge-based engineering, CAD, artificial intelligence, machine learning in CAD, designing optimization, ontology, design creativity, novelty, and requirement satisfaction assessment, design model and theory, special purpose machine and machine tools. Post PhD, he worked as a project lead and research associate at CPDM IISc Bangalore in industrial project involving global automotive tier 1 supplier. In this project, he worked for 3 years leading a team of 4 people and total 6 interns. This project, there were different needs that required working in the field of AI/ML in CAD with knowledge-based engineering, ontology, as well as design optimization. A warm welcome to Dr. Ranjan, and he would be touching upon the topic, especially for students who are even thinking or probably are confused whether design is a place where they need to make the career. So Dr. Ranjan will be touching upon the prerequisites, eligibility with a tag ABCD, anybody can design. So we start with the today's session, and we would like to welcome our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Dr. K.N.B. Murthy, to set the context and share his views. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Shinde. Respected co-panelists, the students and the parents who have joined this webinar come campus info session. A warm welcome to all of you. We are extremely happy at the Dayanand Sagar University to conduct this webinar to provide information about design program. As you're aware, design program is of recent origin and it is getting matured into one of the most important programs of study going forward. We're extremely happy that the things of uncertainty are settling down. I think some clarity is getting evolved. Therefore, Dayanand Sagar University is trying to provide an opportunity to interact with experts for getting information about various programs of study. Dayanand Sagar University has been conducting these webinars in the last 3 to 4 weeks to provide focused and targeted information. We have been doing this for each program of study so that enough information can be given for the consumption of the interested students and parents. As far as the programs are concerned, about 3 or 4 things we need to understand before selecting a program of study. First and the foremost thing that we need to understand is how the future is going to be. Because the students who are going to join the program today are going to graduate 3 or 4 years down the line. Of course, B design program is a 4-year program. Students are going to graduate in the year 2025. Therefore, we need to understand what is going to offer at 2025. What will be there? What changes? Few indications have come from progressive organizations where they have indicated what the future is going to be. Some predictions have been made, some inputs have been given. The inputs are like this. 1, the future of work or the work environment is going to face complex disruption. Means there'll be lots of changes. The first prediction has been made. Second prediction that has been made is that the future of work will be having a lot of technology involvement or technology, I should say involvement in a very aspect of the work, mainly because of the artificial intelligence, machine learning, 3D printing, likewise. The third prediction that's been made is that the nature of expectations or the environment, work environment is far different. In the sense, there are a lot of requirements of the workforce in a work environment or in an industry. The other prediction has also been made that the 70 to 80% of the existing jobs, what are the jobs that we see, the job roles, the job titles, would go through tremendous change in the next 5 to 10 years. About 70% of them will completely vanish. New job roles are going to come in. That's the kind of prediction that have been made. Having said that, we also need to understand if the existing jobs are going to vanish, what would happen? The good news is that the new jobs are going to be created. The tremendous growth opportunities are going to be coming in. Therefore, we need to prepare for that kind of job scenario. There are several things which have to be done to face these changes at the individual level. Individual level in the sense, each and every person must make an audit of the competencies and also see what are the skill gaps, how do we get those skill gaps. There's the kind of work to be done at the individual level. The educational institutions like Progressive Dayanand Sagar University have to make amendments with regard to the curriculum, with regard to the teaching learning, with regard to the pedagogy that's going to be used. Therefore, the educational institutions also need to prepare the students for that kind of situation. There's a second change that has to happen. The third change is the government level. Government level also needs to sense these changes that are going to happen in the future, bring in the policy changes. Policy changes, whatever the amendments were done with regard to rules and regulations, have to be done by the government. Then the industry also needs to prepare itself for a new work environment, a new kind of job roles that are going to be created. Therefore, this is the kind of thing that's required. The second important thing is with regard to the paradigm shifts. What the paradigm shift that we have to do, whatever we are doing today, going forward, what changes to be made? The first and the foremost change to be made is the changing the curriculum. In other words, we need to design a curriculum which is contextually relevant. What is relevant for the future must be brought in. Those changes are brought in the curriculum. That's one change that has to be brought in. Second, there must be change in the pedagogy. Pedagogy, in the sense, the way of teaching learning would completely be transformed going forward. We need to bring in the concept of project-based learning, the concept of the problem solving, the concept of multidisciplinary learning, the concept of the technology-enabled learning, these kinds of things to happen. The second major change that's to happen, paradigm shift to happen, is assessments cannot be the assessment that we were doing in the past. Like 3-hour examination kind of thing may vanish completely. Maybe a different kind of examinations may come in, a different kind of assessments may come in, which is going to test the intelligence and understanding rather than the memory. The memory-based examinations will completely vanish. A new kind of examinations, a new kind of assessments would come in. The third thing that's required in the future is that connecting the things which are unconnected. There are two domains. How do we connect the two? Is it possible when we say multidisciplinary learning, when we learn something in biology, something learning in the design, is it possible to have some kind of connection between the two? That's what experts have done it. For example, bio-inspired designs, whether the design that's been done is from biology. Therefore, is there a possibility of connecting the unconnected things? The two unconnected things, how do we connect it? That's another paradigm shift that's required. I'm sure all these things will require a change in the approach of whatever is going to be done. Then the next thing that also we need to understand, where the jobs are going to be created, what are the critical areas? I said there is tremendous opportunities that are going to be available. There is going to be jobs in every sector going forward. In the next 5 to 10 years, we see tremendous growth opportunities in terms of, for example, providing clean air and potable water. How do we use the technology for doing that, achieving that? Then providing food and nutritional security. How do we achieve this through technology, through design and other things? Then how do we provide universal healthcare? Healthcare is basically the preventive healthcare using technology is going to be the key. When we talk of technology, obviously the design will be a part of that. Then providing energy 24/7, which is clean energy, is other thing. Then decent habitat. Habitat is basically the shelter. How do we provide a decent living kind of a thing? Then quality education, using technology. Quality education is going to be another area where a lot of things are required. Then how do we use technology to handle disaster and climate resilience? If there's a disruption happens, how do we do that? How do we manage that? Then transparent and effective governance. How do we manage all those things using technology? Of course, there's also other areas where public safety and national security is going to be another key area. Then safe and speedy mobility is going to be another area where a lot of job opportunities are going to be there. Please remember, each one of them has technology in it. Each one of them have a design embedded in it. Therefore, the design program will have tremendous opportunities, tremendous growth opportunities, job opportunities going forward. The last thing that I would like to indicate is that at the individual level, three important things have to be audited. Each one of you have to audit three important. One, heuristic of learning. The way you are going to learn things must be audited, and also understand clearly what is the best way of learning for an individual, because the learning is unique to each one of us. The second, the passion for the program study. You must do everything willingly. Having taken a program study, you must like the program study. The third one is spirit of inquiry. Develop that spirit of inquiry, which is nothing but asking the right question. Questioning everything is going to be the key in the future. I'm sure these qualities would prepare an individual for facing the disruptions that are going to come in. The last thing that I would like to tell you is, over a period of time, you're going to become a professional in design. In other words, you're going to shape yourself as a design professional. Whenever we talk of professional, there are a lot of attributes that are going to come in. The first attribute is competency. Competency means you need to have the expertise in that particular area of study. The second, a professional must be reliable. Reliable basically means it must have the time sensitivity. Whenever a job to be done on time, it has to be done on time. The third, the design professionals must get respect from the society, respect from others. That's the respectful is the other thing. The next two attributes are believe in research. Research is continuous improvement. Research is new knowledge coming into the thing. The last one is credibility, establishing credibility of the work. These are the kind of attributes you have to imbibe after joining this program study, because these are critical for success in design and for a design professional. With these few opening remarks, I'm sure the experts would tell you more about it, what design is all about, how is it different from other programs of study, and you will get a targeted information to make an informed choice. I take this opportunity to thank the organizers for inviting me to be here, and also thank all of you for patient listening. We wish you very best of luck in the future. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Pleasure listening to you, and an opportunity for all the students and the parents to have the Honorable Vice Chancellor of the N.M. Sagar University sharing their views, especially with respect to design as a career. Thank you so much. We now move to the next speaker of the day and would like to invite the veteran from TCS, Mr. Arvind Sunivas, and he would be touching upon the topic, why design? Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Shinde. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sure. I'll just share my screen in a minute or two.
Sure.
I just first wanted to talk about design. Actually, is a wonderful field where you use your creative abilities to conceptualize most of the things that you see around you, right from the clothes which you're wearing, probably to the bag which you're carrying, or the booklet which actually Shinde showed in that video, which that boys and girls were reading, or the frames of glasses if you're wearing one, the furniture which you see around you, the audio, the visuals, and the movies which are all going to be seen. All that is part of, in a way, design. Being a designer is actually loads of fun and creativity, let me tell you. And at the same time, it requires hard work, self-motivation, and a lot of responsibility. In design, you will not have the typical study nights before an exam, but it's an accumulation of all the things you're learning and assimilating every day, both through formal as well as practice sessions that require you to keep working at a design problem 24/7. It's a different mindset altogether. This
So your
mindset,
presentation is not visible.
yes, sir, I'm sharing it in a minute, sir.
Yeah.
What I'm basically trying to tell you is ultimately design is poised to become a big part of the world we live today and going to be a game changer in the next few years to come. In fact, the products and services are selected more and more based on emotional and experiential factors rather than the rational that is where design steps in. So if you think you have it in you to live the life of a designer, then please listen to this talk of mine and also the subsequent speakers who will actually be sharing all their insights into why design. So let me just start off by sharing my screen. Hope all of you can see this.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, sure. So first thing is I just want to talk about what exactly is the difference between engineering and design. Actually, if you see the very first animation which you see on the screen, this is all what engineers do, either on the gear machine like mechanical engineer or electronics engineer or whatever. Engineers are those who take concepts and implement them. They involve themselves in actually building and rendering them in physical reality. Whereas you see at the right-hand side right now, the box which is getting opened or the different shapes, those are designers. Designers conceptualize. They create a concept based on education, experience, and best practices. They are called plans or blueprints. I would like to point out, however, that the role of both a designer and engineer are equally important because designers bring innovation to the table while engineers make that innovation happen in reality. A lack of either of them in their or their respective skills would result in no genuine progress. So given this, you can see this the secret of this unraveling of this rope over here, which is nothing but a problem in real life. This is exactly what engineers and designers do. They're basically into the solving problems. Design thinking is a process for solving problems by prioritizing customer needs above all else. It relies on observing with empathy on how people interact with their environment and employ an iterative hands-on approach. We'll see more of it as we go along. In fact, you must be wondering what's design thinking and this thought we're about to do. In fact, design thinking started blossoming out as a particular approach way back when many of us were not in born around the 1960s. And it has nothing to do with the internet. It has nothing to do with engineering at that time. It was gradual and informal process before the internet enabled faster adoption. And in the last decade or so, it has become a very pronounced discipline. And that's why this discipline has gradually evolved into dealing with problems in daily life, the human-centered design that is similar to the scissors, which are left-handed people. You know, earlier I had tough time in managing the scissors because most of them are right-handed, or the wristwatch, which is always having the button on one side. Thanks to Titan, which I got one, or the utensils, the visual appeal, all of them have started formally coming out in the last 1 decade. This is what exactly is all design thinking about. So design thinking is a process, as I said earlier, for prioritizing problems. And it is an iterative process for which we seek to understand the user, challenge our own assumptions, redefine the problems, and identify alternate solutions. And it is not instantly apparent with our initial level of understanding. That's where you see all this and empathizing, ideating, prototyping, and all of that. So let's look into certain key design elements which are around here. The first thing is what I call as a human-centered design. If you do not understand the person for whom you're designing, which you'll be using, then it will simply not work. It's as simple as that, human-centered design. Creativity. Creativity is very important because you need a playful atmosphere for fueling creativity. It allows you to frame the problem in a new way and look at it from a different perspective, and sometimes called as out-of-the-box thinking. But I call it as different perspectives and variety of solutions. Or look at this iterative part. Iteration, once you have come out with a solution or product, it's important to keep challenging yourself and reframing the problem. Test, iterate, and test again. Early rounds of testing and feedback will help you to deliver the solutions which people love. Collaboration. People with diverse perspective is something which work together in a design thinking project. We create multidisciplinary teams, as the Professor Murthy said, arts, science, biology, engineering, everybody included. And this is where co-creation happens while working in a flat hierarchy. And finally, a prototype. Sometimes a prototype is also used because you need to communicate and test based on your assumptions and data. And whether it's a sample product or an idea drawn from paper or creating tangible representations to your solutions, it allows you to share and gather feedback and finally refine things. Look at this, for example, in this case. This is the difficulty of a small ketchup bottle, which is standing up, and we Indians have the habit of trying to squeeze as much as possible. But then trying to look at it the other way around, just inverting the entire ketchup bottle from Heinz, and it makes it quite easy to squeeze. And I'm sure you will also remember, if some of you remember reading the papers, when you understand how the Tata Group changed the name of the car. There was a car called Zika. In fact, it was changed to the current day Tiago because Zika was actually a virus which was getting prevalent in Brazil at the time, and they quickly changed it and rebranded the car as the Tiago, which you see right now. So this is all basically context-based, human-centered thinking. Or look at this. This is the more famous one, which we know for potato chips. Here again, it's a normal packaging cannot be reused. It makes noise while opening the packet. Product wastage can be high in terms of broken pieces. Whereas if you design around a round package for easy access to product, the snack size is reduced to enable user finish for this product. And look at this again. This is nothing but a door handle, which has got a push. If you notice, the push and pull of the door are fitted with a handle, and this creates confusion in your brain. The design of a push-pull door by cognitive bias of the human brain, our brain sees a handle trigger and then we try to pull it. That's basically, so that's why push doesn't have the handle, only the pull has a handle. Or looking at good designs. For example, look at this famous Microsoft Bing, which some of you may have used other than Google. It's good to appreciate good designs, and you can see how these designs are actually having a lot of similarity to accessibility buttons which you see in the red circle. You can see the search button, the image button, and the voice button, all three of them being huddled together. So multiple search accessibility icons are all being placed together. This is nothing but a very simple design. But again, let me also talk about certain designs which are actually easy to appreciate, but at the same time, these are all not good designs. Look at this, for example. This looks like as if it's reading no safety, smoking first. But if you carefully observe, it actually in the same line, you see no smoking in the same color and safety first in the same color. This is a very bad aspect of design. But again, in reality, what happened was somebody else brought something in between and that pushed these lines aside. This is definitely not very good. Or probably something which you know in some t-shirts, which you must have seen. This is called the super heaters, but then the S is sitting in such a way that it sounds awful. So these are definitely something which are horrors, which are sometimes made in design. So these are something which one should avoid. Again, being creative. Competence is something that creates something new. And this is something which will make you think very differently. Look at this on the left-hand side. That's something, the small steps, which actually is about 6 feet and above. This is only part of the staircase where there is a space problem in Boston or probably cities like New York or Bombay, where it's quite crowded and very difficult to see. And look at the right-hand side here. Look at how the whole thing is actually getting reused in terms of a shelf. If this is something what you're interested in terms of trying to make out what you can make best use of space, make best use of optimal resources, then this is exactly where you need to be. That is design thinking. And again, you can see how the three different shelves are being carefully designed in such way. And of course, as I said, you need collaboration also to make sure that this goes along. And look at it again. Look at this do-it-yourself sprinkler. This is nothing but a small distillery or water bottle where they've connected the pipe to that and they're using it as a sprinkler. It's what I call desi jugaad, or probably frugal innovation, as you saw hearing Nirmal's background. Or probably look at this other one, which is very simple, very easy to lift furniture and appliances for this tool. Because I'm sure this is a problem which you face in day-to-day life. A lot of things are behind this thing. So look at it. It's quite simple. You don't have to lift everything. It's got a small set of wheels behind, and all that you need to do is just push this around. Or look at this. This is a well-known advertisement which I would like to quote from Swiggy. This is a very interesting guy. The uncle is trying to use jamuns. Obviously, he's got on the wrong foot here. Calling for a second run. Swiggy पे 1 करोड़ से ज़्यादा लोग ऑर्डर कर चुके हैं लॉकडाउन के बाद. Swiggy, what a score. See, this is what I mean by saying very interesting guide. So if you're interested in creative design, the visual appeal, then that's where you are. Look at this Kit Kat, like the way it resembles the half open Kit Kat, the bag, or on the right hand side, the handle for the bus or metro, which has got the almost the watch shaped thing, whereas it mingles very well with the space around that. Again, iteration. Iteration is something which you keep doing, as I said earlier, keep iterating, repeatedly iterating till you believe that you have solved the customer's problem. Or look at this, for example. This is a well-known Fitbit. In fact, the first version of the Fitbit, what you see on the screen, came around 2009, when it was tracking just a basic activity, and it was not like the way we wear it on the hand. It was more like a clip on the t-shirt or the pack on the pant pocket, and this is how it was earlier. And then the next version came around 2011, when 30,000 units were sold, and the new version included the altimeter, digiclock, and all that. And now subsequently, you can see the beautiful model which is almost hanging around the rich contoured around your wrist, no matter whether you're a girl or a boy, it doesn't matter. So this is typically what the consistency of the model and upgrades, which has separated Fitbit from every other wearable technology. Prototyping. Prototyping is something which you will have to constantly keep doing, as I said earlier. So you iterate, and keep doing it. Or the concept of collaboration. As I said earlier, you can collaborate with all kinds of life, which you see on the screen right now, or probably trying to put all the pieces together. And so you will be the actual system integrator who will be actually doing the whole thing. So essentially, follow your passion, like the way Professor Murthy said. No matter what you choose as a program history, follow your passion. Don't be on the red line following, and always be in the green line. As you can see, follow your passion. That's what I would say. And this is definitely another interesting perspective of the design. Just to summarize, how these 5 elements of design actually fuse together. And you can see the human-centered one, the creative one, or probably the iterative one, or the collaborative one, and the prototype. All of them form this concept of design thinking, as we said earlier. So just to summarize, all that you have to be, if you believe you're creative, then you are in it. Don't go anywhere else. Just come for the design thinking, which is something which is emerging as a great new opportunity. Thank you very much, and wish you all the best for whatever program you choose.
Thank you so much, sir. Wonderful, very wonderful presentation. Very good insights. Thank you so much. We now would like to invite Mr. Nirmal Joseph, and he would be touching upon the topic design thinking with an industry perspective. Over to you, Nirmal.
Thank you very much. I'll just take a minute to share my screen.
Sure.
Please confirm if you're able to see the screen.
Yes, we are able to see.
So thank you. Welcome one and all to this webinar. So I thank the organizers for inviting me on this panel, and I'll be sharing a few words on design thinking and its importance and relevance in the world today. And it is a pleasure to be addressing a youthful group like today. I'm sure you're all brimming with potential and eager to prove yourselves in the world. Let me first begin by addressing the question, why do we need design thinking? Right? Why do we need it? And design thinking is primarily required to understand our customers well, to understand the right problem and create a major impact. What does the customer really want? To generate out of the box ideas as individuals and in teams, and to develop solutions in a smart way, spending less time, less money and energy to get out better products than our competitors. So ultimately, design thinking is required to design novel solutions that would be desirable and also useful for our customers. Sounds pretty interesting, right? So what is this design thinking exactly? So here I would like to borrow the definition from Tim Brown, who is the head of IDEO, which is one of the top design firms in the world. They are like the Google of the design space. And they use design thinking principles to come out with revolutionary products across categories. They have invented Apple's first computer mouse in 1980. They have done vertically stackable farm units to grow vegetables. They are basically the experts in the process. You give them any product, any category, they can design it better than anybody else in the world. So what do they say? Design thinking is a human-centered approach to innovation that draws from the designer's toolkit to integrate the needs of people, the possibilities of technology, and the requirements for business success. In other words, it is at the intersection of these three lenses: customers' needs represented by desirability, technologies represented by feasibility, and the business requirements for the organization you'll be working for, right? That is viability. This is where you'll find innovation, and this is at the crux of the design thinking model, what we do in this field. So I just want to show a simple example to get you thinking, right? So how would you design a water bottle? This image is from IKEA, who are known for the innovative designs. So what are the questions that we need to ask? What are the features or what are the modifications we would do? So first of all, we have to ask the question, who is my customer? Who needs to buy this? Who am I designing it for? What does my customer need? Right? I should try to find out what they want. How can I manufacture or service it? At what cost? What is the technology I'm planning to use? At what price can I sell it? Given my overheads as an organization, what do I do? At what price do I sell? Therefore, how much do I profit? How do I run this company or this factory? And how does my customer benefit? What benefit will he see that makes him choose my product? So these are all the questions that go into the design of any product, right? And this is something which is covered in depth in design thinking. So how to do design thinking? I'll just quickly take you through the various stages of it. So first of all, we have the stage called discovery. In this stage, we gather information on the problem or the customer, the real needs, right? Our perceptions might be one, but the reality might be different. We try to gather it. Then we look at defining the challenge. So we identify the real problem or the needs of the customer, the exact challenge which we want to address. Then further on, we move on to ideation, where we can generate novel ideas. This is the fun part. Any crazy idea works, right? And then we move on to conceptualization, where we try to combine these ideas into concepts that can together address the original problem, right? We rank the ideas on what seems like a better fit. And then once we have this priority and the combinations available, we start prototyping. That is, we make either virtual simulations or physical models of the concepts and test whether they meet the requirements. Are they feasible? Are they desirable? Are they viable? So how do we do this? We test it involving some users, some test users, and they look at these prototypes, they interact with it, and they provide their feedback. And once they give their feedback, what can we do? We can incorporate it. We can go back to discovery. We can go back to any other stage. We can iterate any number of times to get out the winning product. So that's what I've represented here. You are free to go back to a previous stage to improve the product or the service and make it better, right? So this is what ultimately design thinking is about. Great. So there are hundreds of tools which will be used in the various stages of the design thinking model. And I'm just going to give you a few examples, also hinting at which tools were used here, how they got these particular innovative products, right? So first we have a biomimicry tool. Dr. Murthy in his opening remarks commented that we have to connect unrelated fields. One example was biology, right? So this is a tool called biomimicry, nature-inspired design. And one of the most well-known examples would be the Velcro. Everybody has used it. And it originally came because there was a certain person called George Mestrel who came to notice that his dog, after going through a run through the nearby field, had these burdock plant seeds sticking to it. And he realized that this fur was clinging very strongly to it. And he thought, why not we make a fastening material which is simulating the burdock hooks, the seeds hooks, as well as the fur. That is the Velcro, right? Okay. Another counterintuitive example is that of the compact car from Mercedes-Benz, which was inspired by the boxfish. As you know, moving in water requires a aerodynamic design, but this boxfish to the naked eye looks very boxy. So they did a simulation and they found that surprisingly, it was very aerodynamic and also very spacious. So they designed a very spacious compact car that was fuel efficient and also could carry more people, right? Some more examples. We know that the lotus leaf is hydrophobic. Water doesn't stick to it. It tends to flow off, run off. This coating has been incorporated in this Nano Nuno umbrella, which is a hydrophobic umbrella. So it doesn't get wet. Water simply runs away. And secondly, on the right, we have the Shinkansen bullet train of Japan, which was originally very noisy. It used to create a sonic boom like an earthquake. And they were looking at how to minimize this sound. Then they came to see that the kingfisher, when diving into the water, doesn't make a splash. It is so streamlined in its design. They borrowed the design and now they have a more silent, more power efficient, and also a slightly faster bullet train in Japan, right? But is that the only way we get inspiration from? Not necessarily. There are other tools. I'm just touching upon one more tool called Scamper, in which each letter stands for an approach. S stands for substitute. This car from BMW has substituted normal steel with carbon fiber, and they have a better power to weight ratio. That means it goes faster and it consumes less fuel. And combine, the most famous example I could think of is the Band-Aid. We know that the traditional bandage can be done only by a trained professional, involves cotton, medicine, a gauze bandage, whereas a Band-Aid, on the other hand, is a combination of all these, and even a child can put it on the wound by himself or herself, right? Secondly, you see that is this example of a pizza scissors and spatula is a very intuitive example. While making a slice of the pizza, it is very difficult, it is messy. They have eliminated that issue here. If you see the example to the left, that is of the stadium called the Gelredome, which is in the Netherlands. They had a unique challenge. They wanted to make a covered stadium to avoid the rain and the elements, but at the same time, they wanted to have a very sunny, they wanted to allow sunlight to grow a natural grass turf. They did not want an artificial turf. So they're thinking on how to do this. And finally, they got an inspiration from the humble matchbox. In a matchbox, you can slide this tray out of the matchsticks. So what did they do? They mounted the entire grass turf on rollers. They simply slide it out for the sun. During match time, they slide the entire turf back into the stadium. So think of how adapted from a different location. Coming to modify, where we tend to maximize, the Scotch tape is an example of maximum adhesive area. And Scotch tape is now a bestseller in its category, right? There is also P, which stands for put to other use, where we look at things which are normally going waste or normally used in a conventional way. We shift the background where they can be used. IKEA has converted its furniture carton boxes into do-it-yourself cardboard furniture. Think of the genius in that, right? We can use them again as furniture for some lightweight purpose. We can also eliminate things to make them more appealing. On the left, you have a Dyson Air Multiplier, which is nothing but a fan without the blades. To the right, we have towerless windmills. I get good wind at a height. Why should I build a tower? Why don't I just float it? These are all revolutionary designs that have come out of design thinking process. Again, and in rearrange, I try to reverse the process, the mechanism, or the parts of the product. This reversible umbrella opens the other way. So now you don't get wet when you fold and unfold the umbrella. Okay. As for the second example, that is actually an award-winning design of a easily dismantleable school that was built in Mumbai. The reason was these are built on illegal lands, right, for the slum children. And whenever government decides to do a demolition, they wanted to dismantle, pack it and move away. And when the government forces leave, they can quickly construct it in a matter of days. So this is done by an NGO, right? So they are able to use design thinking principle to help children in a very unconventional way. So these are about the ideation. I wanted to touch upon prototyping next. So prototyping, as Arvind was mentioning, is basically where you get to test the ideas. Now, testing doesn't mean you build the exact product because it requires a huge amount of technology. It can involve things like a model, a physical model, like for example, in the case of CPR process, right? The doctors would use a CPR dummy. because this is safer than using a real person, right? And we can also use other softwares, like we can do a virtual 3D model. We can build a Lego brick model, like I've shown on the bottom right. We can also do a storyboard where we list down stage by stage, this is what I plan to do. And then we try to get feedback and we build upon it. So these are all various approaches to prototyping that you'll be learning as part of a design course, and that will help you in coming out with a successful innovation. So next, I would like to talk a little bit about myself, right? About my journey in the corporate world. So I started off first as a mechanical engineer and was hired by Titan Company for their jewelry division. And I have found my calling now in design thinking and innovation. At the start, I was working on jewelry manufacturing process. I was exposed to the traditional processes of jewelry craftsmen called karigars, like you see in the picture, and was amazed to see that they were working in very poor conditions and they were coming out with such beautiful jewelry designs. So my team was entrusted with the task of revolutionizing their working condition. So we came up with this. This is called the Karigar Center. This is the first of its kind jewelry factory cum residence model in India. And this is actually being pursued by now the Kolkata government for their Karigars. And this is established in Hosur in Tamil Nadu. So here we have ergonomically designed workstations, tools, and even the layout, the lighting, the ventilation, every step of that entire business model is designed with a thought to improve the quality, to improve the health, to improve the productivity, to improve the morale, the safety. All of it has been covered by this design. So this is basically design thinking for a business model or for an entire system. Okay. Let me give you some product examples also. We also have something called the Innovation School of Management. So where we train our employees who have education anywhere between high school and post-graduation on the principles of design thinking and ask them to come out with solutions. So one tool that we teach is called frame-based thinking, also called the mind map. To the right of the screen, you have a big image, and all that is written on various colors are all ideas that the team came out with. So mind mapping is a very interesting tool, right? And some of these ideas were translated into prototypes. They came out very revolutionary ideas like, why don't we use magnet to connect jewelry? Why don't we have a capsule where we can store tablets or some other medicines? They were all totally out of the box. And some of these ideas went on to become finished products that you can see in the store today. And lastly, I would want to talk about my current role. So now I am a firm believer in the power of design thinking, and I'm running a program called Innovation Champion, which is a company-wide program. And in this program, the team trains any willing participant, regardless of experience or qualification, in the design thinking approach. We have trained over 400 employees in the past 4 years. They are taken through 26 key design thinking tools over 2 to 3 months, and we will support them while executing the projects. So in this photo, actually, you're seeing a team who have done a tool called Empathy Map. So what they did is they understood their customer and they captured the key observations. They will be going on to work on this, whatever information there is in the chart. They will generate ideas and they will come out with products. So what I'm trying to tell you is that we have seen for ourselves that design thinking is something people can take up. Anybody can be creative. Anybody can come out with revolutionary innovations, and design thinking approach is the way to do it. So thank you for the opportunity for letting me share my views and my experience, and wishing you all the best in your journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nirmal. It's a very good exposure and lively being done by you. So it's a great experience sharing. Thank you so much. Would now like to take the opportunity of inviting Professor Dr. Sonal Keshwani, and she would be touching upon the topic of the design program at DSU and the specializations that offer. Over to you, ma'am.
Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible. You can just go to slideshow and put the slide up.
Okay. Can you see this slideshow now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello and welcome to this talk on Introduction to Bachelor's in Design program by DSU. And from this academic year onwards, DSU is launching a new program called Bachelors in Design, and you have had a detailed introduction to design by the previous speakers. So the specializations that we are launching from this year are product design and user experience design. Now, earlier speakers have talked in length about the need of the design, but I'll just quickly share my views on why suddenly you see a sudden spurt of design colleges. They have come up in India. The reason being, with the advent of internet, the customers are now more aware. They want more features and less cost. Plus, the resources are depleting, and the government has increased. Like there are tighter and tighter regulations from the government. The products are becoming obsolete very quickly, and also the number of players in the market have increased. So there is a crunch of like you really have to grab your market share. Because of all these reasons, the design has assumed paramount importance, and therefore the forward looking nations, the forward looking governments, companies are investing heavily in design, and as a result there is a huge requirement in industry of the designers, which has in turn increased the number of colleges and the intake of design students in design. And in this context, the Dayanand Sagar University has launched this B Design course, which is a 4-year full-time degree program, and specializations are product design and user experience design. Now, you have already seen a number of examples, so I'm not going to talk about the examples in detail. Just that I want to share one point, that as you can see from the earlier examples and also the examples on this slide, the design is multidisciplinary. It is the first example is from automotives, then web application development, furniture, lifestyle, healthcare, packaging, branding. So as you saw the methods like biomimicry, scamper, so these methods are general and can be applied to various domains. Therefore, design is interdisciplinary. And because it is interdisciplinary, you are not restricted to only automobile companies or only manufacturing companies or only software companies, but rather the plethora of all the organizations, whether it is a automobile or a software firm, all those options are available for you. Because if you learn a general approach and then you apply that general approach to specifics. Okay, so therefore, this is really a lucrative area for you to work on. Now, as people have already talked about, we just don't want to design a solution, but the solution should be beautiful, it should create excitement, and also it should not appear crude, it should be culturally relevant to people. Okay, so there are certain symbols, for example, which are considered offensive in one area and they might be respectable in another area. So a designer has to know all about that. So and a designer is not only responsible for just the conceptualizing the product, but the product should work. So functionality is also very important aspect in design, because suppose if you create a design that doesn't work, then what is the use? You are not going to create just a showpiece, it has to work. So a designer has to have the knowledge of the working, how it should work. Therefore, design is a multidisciplinary field which not only requires the knowledge of aesthetics. Aesthetics means beauty. Okay, how beautiful, visually appealing a product or a like a application should be, a service should be. And the designer should also be able to create designs that are functional. Therefore, designers should have the technical knowledge of the softwares, the services, the products that he or she is creating. A design obviously has to be user friendly for old age people, for specially challenged people. Imagine design of clothes, which Professor Arvind talked about. So clothes for a girl without arms, it's a matter of dignity. So how important it is. Then you have the key area called as sustainability. Suppose you design a product which has huge carbon footprints. So how much that design is ultimately, when it gets converted into a product, how much environmental impact it will create, what kind of destruction that design might create. And on the contrary, if you come up with design that is really environmentally friendly, how much can you save? So therefore designers have to be responsible, and this is what Professor Arvind talked about, that design is a matter of huge responsibility. So these are the key areas that we are going to consider in design, and therefore we have courses in each of these areas. Now, apart from these 4 areas, there is another area called design methodology, which Mr. Nirmal just talked about, like Scamper, biomimicry. So all those topics come under design methodology. And then is another area called design management. So these are the broad areas in which we have courses in our program. Apart from these, there are like the center, this is the same, and you have more courses which are project based and research based courses. So what we are aiming at is learning by doing. It's not mugging up. You are no longer going to remember things, you have to do the projects. And we have close to 40 projects in this, that's what we have planned. So, and then all of this obviously has to be done with it in the backdrop of creativity. Creativity is the key driver wherever, whatever method you are applying, in whichever domain, creativity is the key driver. And then application specific courses will also be there. So for example, courses on applications of AI and design together, or application of design in agriculture for specially challenged people, healthcare. So those specific courses also are planned. Now, going into the details of the courses in the product design, as I have talked about, for further details you can see in the brochure. In brochure, we have explicitly mentioned the courses. Of course, they are subject to change based on the expert feedback and the market requirement. But by and large, you will have the courses both from the aesthetic point of view and also from the technical point of view. There will be courses from the liberal studies also, and you will have courses from psychology, like cognition and design. Then you will have photography, videography, history of art and design. So it will be then material science, mathematics, physics. So as I said, that multidisciplinary word is reflecting up here in the product design. Similarly, in user experience design, you will have the courses on like storytelling in UX, then programming. You will also have courses on maths, statistics, because statistics is a very important in UX research. So then courses in liberal studies, research-based courses, project-based courses. So all those, that's again, it will be a very interdisciplinary and yet connected. Even though it is interdisciplinary, yet you will have to use the pick elements from each of the areas and apply into your projects. That's why we have kept so many projects, so that you learn to combine all the elements that you have studied in various courses into one final product or service or application. So the program structure is like this. This is a semester-wise pattern, and from semester 1 to semester 6, you will be taking close to 22 to 24 credits per semester. In the first 4 semesters, you will take all the core courses of your respective specialization, whereas in the 5th and 6th semester you will have the option to take 4 elective courses in each semester. So total 8 elective courses you can take. And then there are one mini project per semester. There will be one micro project per course. So total 5 to 7 micro projects per semester, one mini project per semester. And then in the 7th and 8th semesters, we have planned a 3-month internship, which can be either in industry or in a foreign university. And And there will be a 1 year project. So that 1 year project will be a very complex project. Of course, you have to apply all that you have learned in your previous 3 years into that project. And if there's a potential for patenting, then faculty can support. So the salient features of this program at DSU are: you have to complete minimum 160 credits. And as Professor Murthy already told, that there we have to design new methods of evaluation. So the performance evaluation will be continuous. Okay, so you will not just be evaluated at the end by in that 3-hour exam, but your assignments will carry weightage, the projects will be weightage, will have some weightage, your overall performance in the class, attendance, conduct, all those things will have the weightage, and therefore it will be a continuous evaluation. And then obviously there's a choice-based credit system, as we have offered electives. So these electives can also be increased, changed based on the suggestions by the students, based on their interest. And then if some students want to audit some courses, that option is also available. Audit means that students are not taking exams, but just sitting in the class and doing the assignments, and that those marks will not be calculated in the grade point. But again, it depends on the timetable and the like the requirement of the students. So but students should definitely complete the minimum credits. They cannot audit all the courses. And then the curriculum is project driven. So as I've already mentioned, one major project, 6 mini projects, and approximately 40 micro projects. So there's a huge focus on the projects, and these projects are technologically intensive. So we expect students to apply the latest technologies that are coming up into the projects, and then so that they are industry ready, because that's what is expected in the industry. Also, we have research-based courses. So there are 3 research-based courses. One is a research project and 2 other courses in research. Also, there's a 3-month industry internship at a foreign university. And then there's a advisory committee, which we plan that we'll meet like every 6 months, so as to upgrade the course curriculum based on the latest requirements in the market and the latest developments in the research. So this ensures that the curriculum is upgraded, and the advisory committee will consist from the experts from industry, as well as from the academic institutions like IISc. And we are also in touch with some faculty members from abroad. So that will constitute the advisory committee. And of course, the guest lectures and workshops are planned at regular intervals. So prospects for Bds students from DSU. Now, because the curriculum is project driven, it ensures that students learn to not just learn the design knowledge, but also be able to apply it creatively. And also the students become industry ready. Again, because of the orientation to research, students can take up a research as a career. So they can either pursue PhD or MS, so that research, if they are interested in research, they can take up that career. Also, regular industry interaction ensures that students understand what industry demands. Now, because the curriculum is project driven, and also we have one year project, and there are six month half yearly projects, there's a huge potential for students to patent. So if the project qualifies certain standards, we support students to patent their projects. Students will also be encouraged to publish their papers with the support from the faculty members. Another benefit of having Bds at DSU is that There's an engineering ecosystem in DSU. So you can form cross-functional teams, multidisciplinary teams from engineering and from design to come up with better projects. Also, being in Bangalore, there are huge number of software firms and manufacturing firms in Bangalore, and this supports design because students can take up industry visits. Students can also be do internships over there. So it's a ecosystem for design. Now, as far as the career opportunities for product designers is concerned, Bds in product design is concerned, students can either offer uh, the roles like product designer, industrial designer. Now, the difference between the product designer and industrial designer is that a product designer is, the scope of product design is wide. A product designer can also look at the functionality aspects of a product, but an industrial designer is specifically more concerned towards the look and feel, user friendliness of the product. So both the options are open. Modular. Now, as we talked about prototyping means creating models, initial models for testing purpose. So there can be CAD models, there can be clay models, paper, cardboard, all of that. So those options are also available. Of course, you can pursue your research in career, and then BDES course is a very apt course for your doing your own business, because the kind of questions that you ask, like in that case the example of bottle, the questions were asked, these are the questions that an entrepreneur might ask. An engineer who is working in a specific area does not ask those questions. So it's a very apt course for entrepreneurs. And then you can have your own consultancy firms for after doing this course. And of course, the recruiting companies might be from automobile sector, manufacturing, packaging, branding, healthcare, agriculture, and architecture. So these are just few. There's a huge scope in healthcare, automobile sector, agriculture. Okay, so the options are really wide. Similarly, for user experience design, students can opt for the profiles like a UX researcher. So a UX researcher basically he tries to identify the market requirements and interacts with the potential users. And then also once a product is launched, he tests whether a product is really performing well. So he'll take the feedback. So all those things are come under his profile. Then animation designer, game designer, basically they'll try to create a storyline of game and how the caricatures would look like, how the environment should be, all of that. So little bit of programming. Then interaction designer, web designer, of course researcher, entrepreneurship, and consultancy. So software firms are also open to user experience designers apart from the other areas. So now with this, I think all these talks, you are sufficiently motivated to join this program, but just last one kind of a booster for you to join BDES program is, if you love to work in interdisciplinary areas, and if you want to really create change in a society through your own efforts, if you do not want to do routine jobs, so as you can see here, the examples are from various domains. If you get bored of routine jobs and you want different kinds of challenges and work in new areas every time, and if you value your creativity and you want your creativity to be valued, and if you want to utilize the huge requirement that is there in the market, and if you also want to utilize the huge investment that the government is doing, then B Design course is for you. So welcome to B Design course at DSU. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. A deeper insight to all the participants in terms of how exactly the program is going to be delivered. Thank you so much. We now move to the next speaker of the day and would like to invite Mr. Anas K.A., and he would be talking about the user experience design with the industry perspective. Over to you, sir.
Hi, I hope I am audible, right?
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Shankar?
Yes, sir.
And are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So good morning to all. Let us have some fun, right? So I am going to talk about user experience design. My name is Anas K. I am from TCS Interactive. So right now I am in Kochi, Kerala. So right now there is a very heavy monsoon rain happening outside my window. So let us hope that the internet and power will last for this session. Okay. Okay. So let us start. So this is a little bit about my career so far. So I am basically an engineer. Uh, Mr. Nirmal Joseph also mentioned that he was an engineer in mechanical engineering, I believe. So I used to be an electronics and communication engineer. I worked for 7 years in industry. It was mainly in electronics R&D and automotive electronics. And after that, I went to Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore in 2008 to study my master's in design. So that is where I met Professor Ranjan. And after that, I worked in a couple of companies, and then I joined TCS in 2011. I was a UX lead there, and then I later became the head of design for Design Lab in Kochi. And right now, I am a part of the global design thinking team of TCS. So I am an executive design director there. So this is my story. So in between, I also dabbled a little bit in advertising. So when I was doing my master in design, I did an internship with Rediffusion Y&R in Bangalore. So I am also very much interested in the advertising world as well. Anyway, so let us start today's session by talking about evolution, right? So evolution. So in the beginning, we only had plain old telephone systems, right? That was the only thing that we had for communication. It is also known as landline, right? I mean, these types of rotary phones and then later DTMO phones and stuff like that. So the only use of a landline or a phone was to basically talk with people, right? That's all. You can call a number, you can talk to people. That's it, done. And then around 1990s, right? Mobile phones started coming in. Mobile phones basically had, of course, a screen, which is just an LCD screen, and there were some physical keys, right? So Nokia was one of the biggest example, right, in this particular mobile phone revolution at that point of time. So these phones were known as feature phones because I mean, basically you have an operating system running in that one, some Symbian OS or something like that. So you can, of course, you can call people and you can also send SMSs, right? Messages, short message. So you are able to send. And of course, you can also do some gaming as well, right? Very crude gaming, let us say Snake or something like that. And you could also browse internet. That was also possible. And later, this mobile phone became something known as a smartphone, right? This basically happened around 2007 when iPhone was released. Of course, there were other smartphones were there in the market, but I think a lot of people started buying iPhones around 2007 when it was introduced. So later, Android phones also came into existence. Windows phones were there, BlackBerry phones were there. So here, what basically happened was like the physical keyboard went away, and this is a touch interface you have, right? I mean, you can directly touch, and you can basically do your job with a lot of mobile applications. So the mobile phone, which is a smartphone right now, is a platform for hosting a lot of applications that basically does one job, right? That is what it was. So then what happened, like, of course, a lot of new technologies came up. We are, of course, talking about voice interfaces. We are talking about flexible displays in mobile phones, and a lot of stuff happened. But if you look at it nowadays, right, what really happens now is something like, I mean, we are living in a world of IoT or Internet of Things, right? So now we have something known as wearables as well. So we have, let us say, fitness bands, right? I mean, the most basic form. But we also have something like, let's say, virtual reality headsets and all, right? So Oculus is one example. We also had something like an AR, Google Glass earlier, right? Augmented reality AR glass earlier as well. So all those things are there right now. So at this point of time, what really happened was like the technology became much closer to us, right? We are wearing the technology rather than carrying a mobile phone. Right now, we are wearing it. So what is going to happen in future, right? The future is probably some of you might have heard about the company Neuralink, started by Mr. Elon Musk of Tesla or SpaceX. So what they are trying to do is like they are thinking about brain implants as well as body implants, right? Or bionic implants that can directly talk to the internet around us, or that can directly talk to other systems, right? That is what they are trying to invent. So what are we going to do, right? I mean, it can be something like, let us say I'm sitting in front of my television. Probably I might be watching, let us say, a movie channel, and I can just think that, okay, let the channel be changed to CNN, right? In my mind, I don't have to probably click on any remote control or anything. So just by my thought, I'll be able to control the television, right? I mean, that is what the future is going to be. So probably we are going to move from Internet of Things to Internet of Beings. Who knows? I mean, that is what it is. So what really happened, right? I mean, in the past, let us say 30, 40 years, what really changed is basically the experience evolution. There is a lot of changes happened the way in which humans interact with technology, interact with gadgets, and there was a huge change in which we do our day-to-day jobs as well, right? So a lot of things have happened. So we have basically changed from analog systems to digital systems, from digital to connected, now connected to embedded, right? I mean, that is what we are doing right now. So this technological evolution, this experience evolution led to a lot of digital products and services. And that is where user experience design come into existence. Okay, I'm also want to just talk about this little bit of technology as well. So in 1969, men landed in the moon in Apollo 11. So the photograph that you are seeing on the left-hand side of the screen is basically a photograph of the cockpit. Just see how it is, right? I mean, you are able to see a lot of dials and switches and stuff like that. Most of them were electromechanical controls. And this is a photo from the cockpit of Space Shuttle Atlantis in 1985. Now you can see a lot of CRT screens, right? Cathode ray tube screens. There are a lot of screens displaying a lot of data and variables. Still, there are electromechanical systems, but electronic systems started coming in. And this is a photo from last year's SpaceX Crew Dragon, right? Again, from SpaceX company. So this is actually a photograph from the Crew Dragon module that went to International Space Station ISS last year, May 2020. So this is a photograph from the cockpit. The noticeable difference is, of course, there are no complex controls out there. Everything is basically a giant screen. Of course, it's a touch screen. So the astronauts are able to maneuver this particular SpaceX Crew Dragon using these touch controls and touch interfaces, right? So this is what basically happened. So this experience evolution happened even in these kinds of areas like this space exploration, right? So this is what we are seeing right now. A lot of changes are basically happening the way in which humans interact with technology or humans interact with systems around them. So that is what is user experience. Whenever we are discussing about user experience, or whenever we are talking about the career options in user experience, right? This is one graph that I always wanted to show. So this is taken from Nielsen Norman Group's website. So they are basically talking about the 100 years view for user experience. So as you can see on the graph, we are right now in 2020, and what they are telling is like at this point of time, there is a requirement in the industry for almost like 10 lakhs user experience designers, right? And definitely it is going to increment. So if you observe closely, the y-axis is like a logarithmic scale. So what will happen if we are redrawing the same graph in linear scale? So this is what it is. It is very exciting, right? I mean, if you look at it. So we are right now in 2020. And if you look at it, the graph just takes off, right? So there is basically an astronomical requirement for user experience designers in the industry. So I'm representing TCS. So just like TCS, there are a lot of software companies out there who are going to employ a lot of user experience designers, right, over the next few years. So this is the scenario right now. So what is this user experience? So let me start talking a little bit about my favorite thing, food and drinks. So let me talk about, let us say that I am going to a juice shop to order, let us say, fresh lime juice. Okay, so probably they will give me the juice in a glass. Probably there might be a straw, plastic straw, of course, which is harmful for the environment. So if you look at this one, right, what you are seeing is like the content that I am going to consume is the lime juice. So there are different types of content out there, right? Different types of juices out there. It can be orange juice, it can be mango juice, it can be grape juice. So that is what it is. But all these content is basically served to me in a container. So here, in this particular example, the container is a glass tumbler. So that is what I am using as a container. And I am basically going to drink this juice through the straw, which is the user interface, right? And if the juice is at the right temperature, of course, I feel very much happy about this one. If the juice is having the right taste, right temperature, yeah, definitely I will like it. And let us say that the juice shop is also playing a very soft, melodious music inside the shop. Of course, that will add to my enjoyment, right? Let us say that there is a small breeze out there. Probably they might be switching on a fan or probably an air condition. So the ambience really helped me in enjoying this particular juice, right? So there are a lot of factors that will basically add to my enjoyment of drinking this juice in a juice shop. So I am always looking for these kinds of positive experiences, right? So that is what basically user experience is. So user experience is nothing but it is the experience of a user when he or she consumes a service or a product. So that is what user experience is. And what do we mean by user experience design? It is nothing but it is the plan to tweak an object, space, or an environment for a positive overall experience of the user who interacts with them. So the stress is on the positive overall experience, right? So whenever we are trying to design something that will give a positive overall experience to the user, that is what UX design is. Okay, as you can see on the screen, as I mentioned earlier, there are different types of content, right? There are different types of juice available. And what about the container, right? There are also different types of containers. So I can basically consume the juice in a glass bottle, or probably from a plastic bottle, or from a Tetra Pak. So this different type of container also determines the interface, right? I mean, it can be straw, it can be the bottle opening the mouth. So all those things are there, right? So depending upon the container, the interface also changes. So whenever I am talking about UX design, most of the time I talk about digital products and services. So that is what we do in TCS and companies like TCS. That is what we generally do. So today morning I have basically looked at my email in my mobile phone. I have looked at some top news for the day. I also looked at let us say my banking account as well, right, in my mobile phone. So if you look from a content perspective, email is a sort of a content. News is a type of a content. My banking details is also a type of a content, right? And the container in this case is mobile phone, and the interface is a touch interface. But what will happen if I am checking my mail from my laptop, right? So it's an ordinary laptop. There are no touch interfaces. So here I am using probably my mouse pointer, right? Or a trackpad for navigating a website or a web application. So here, depending upon the container, the interface changes, right? So depending upon whether I am looking at my mail in a mobile phone or a laptop, or let us say I'm checking this my mail through an virtual reality headset, right? So there it will be gesture based, right? So depending upon the container, the interface also changes. So this is what we do, right? I mean, UX design is basically about designing the content, designing the container, designing the interfaces, so that we are all going to give a very positive experience to the end users. So that is what we are going to do. Okay, so a company like TCS, right? So what we are right now doing is like we are catering to a lot of industries out there, a lot of domains out there. We are doing design projects for communications industry, media, technology, travel, transportation, hospitality, consumer goods, banking, energy, life science, manufacturing. You name any industry out there, we are designing products. We are designing digital products and services for them, right? And who are the end users, right? I mean, these are all industries, or we generally call these industries as customers to TCS, but we are also serving to the customer's customer, right? The end users like UN. So we have designed a lot of mobile applications, web applications, augmented reality applications for people like let us say postmen, insurance agents, loco pilots, cabin crews, construction workers, marketing managers, HR managers, a lot of people out there. So any common man or any people out there, we are basically designing digital products and services for them. So that is what it is at this point of time. This is what we are doing right now. So that is the reason why we are looking for a lot of user experience designers in the future, right? So there are a lot of opportunities in future. I think Mr. Arvind Sunivas briefly mentioned about human-centered design. I like to call it as user-centered design. Both are same, right? I mean, there's no difference. It's just a term. That's all. So user-centered design or human-centered design is nothing but we are keeping the end users, right, the humans, at the center of the design process. So that is what it is. So we have to always think about the end user. We have to always think about their needs and wants, and then design for them. That is what user experience people do. I believe what Nirmal Joseph also mentioned a little bit about design thinking. So these are some of the steps that he also mentioned. So basically these are some of the processes, right, that we basically do design process. So it starts with empathizing with the end users, their needs and their wants. We are trying to define the problem statement. We are trying to ideate for solutions. We are trying to do some prototyping for the solutions. We are testing those solutions, right, with the real users. And if everything goes well, we will implement it. So this is not a linear process, as Mr. Nirmal Joseph mentioned. So this also can be iterative and cyclic, right? I mean, we can basically do this process over and over and over again till we come up with the best mobile application or web application out there, right? So that is what we also do. And fortunately, Mr. Nirmal also talked about the solutions being viable, being desirable, and being feasible, right? So thank you, Nirmal, for mentioning this one as well. So it's of course about experience innovation, right? I mean, that is what we are aiming for. The intersection of viability, desirability, and feasibility. Anyway, let us talk about marriage. So yeah, let us assume that a boy or a girl wants to marry, and let us assume that this is an arranged marriage, right? I mean, I'm not here to promote arranged marriage or love marriage. I mean, this is just an example to understand the concept. That's it, right? So let us say that a boy or a girl wants to marry. So what is going to happen is like probably their parents will start the search for a groom or a bride. Probably they might be going to different matrimonial websites or matrimonial pages in newspapers or matrimonial apps or probably agencies. So there are a lot of ways to basically look for a girl or a boy, right? So they will do a lot of calling people, and then probably they will do something like a compatibility with the family. A lot of stuff they will look for, and then finally they will basically zero in on a particular person, and then probably they will fix a date for the marriage. They will fix a venue, and then enters the important people, right? So these are the event managers for a marriage, right? So what are they doing? They are trying to do is something like, I mean, they are trying to make the marriage day memorable for the bride and groom, for the parents, for the guests, right? I mean, like relatives and friends. So they will actually plan for a lot of things, right? I mean, they will see where the guests are coming, where are they parking their vehicles, where are the welcome drinks served, who all will be there on the stage, where are they going to sit, let us say feast and all those food and drink, all the programs they are basically trying to arrange, right? I mean, their aim is to give the best experience for all the people who are attending that marriage function. Their aim is to give the best possible experience to all those people, right? I mean, that is what they are trying to do. So a lot of people basically help these event organizers, right? So one example being, let us say, the stage decorators. There are people who will design, let's say, wedding invitation cards. There are something known as pre-wedding shoot, like videographers. There are people who will design social media, let us say, posters for the bride or the groom or other people to share, right? I mean, all those, lot of design work basically goes into a marriage as well. So why I'm telling about all these things here is because, I mean, from a 10,000 feet view, right? I mean, if you basically step back and look at this, what you're going to see is like, I mean, this particular experience is being designed by these people, right? Your parents, the event managers, and a lot of designers, right? So just like that, even though I'm talking about, let's say, user experience design, there are different types of job opportunities here, right? So just like parents who are basically searching for a bride or a groom, we have user researchers. I think Professor Sonal basically talked about user researchers as well. So there are user researchers who will be basically looking after the needs and wants of the end users. Then, of course, we have user experience designers. And just like, let us say, the stage decorators and all, we also have visual designers who basically do create a lot of visual designs, applications for all the applications, right? Icon designs, let us say animation designers. So a lot of people are there to help for doing the user experience design for a particular digital product, right? So that is what it is. So what are they doing from morning 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., right? I mean, this is just a snapshot of what user researchers do. User researchers do something known as user personas. They come up with something known as journey maps. Then UX designers basically do something known as information architecture. They do wireframes. Then visual designers take over, and then they come up with the actual click-through prototype. They do all the colors. They design font, typography, everything they do, right? I mean, this is how we design a mobile application or a web application, right? So which are the tools that we generally use? I mean, in TCS, we are predominantly using all the Adobe tools. So Photoshop, everybody knows, right? I mean, Adobe Photoshop, Illustrator, Dreamweaver, After Effects, Animate. For experience design, we are using something known as Adobe XD. So there are also comparable products in the market. There are something known as Sketch. We have something known as Figma. We have something known as UX Pin. So there are also other tools in the market. So in my mind, personally, what I am seeing is like, I mean, tools doesn't really matter, right? I mean, it is people like you, creative minds like you, who are basically helping, like doing these kinds of good designs. So anyone can design if you have the right attitude, if you have the inquisitive outlook, if you are questioning a lot of things, right? I mean, will I be able to change the experience of this product or a service, right? I mean, if you can do that, that is great. If you have, let us say, deep empathy for humans, that simply means like, I mean, you should basically look at problems from the end user's perspective. You have to basically wear their shoes and then basically think about what is really happening here, right? So if you have that kind of a deep empathy, yes, you are good to be a designer. If you have the holistic view and the eye for details, right? I mean, both together. I mean, remember that Aesop story about, I think, laying a brick, a wall, and building a cathedral. So something like that, right? I mean, you should have the holistic view, right? The big picture, as well as you should have an eye for details. Then you should have the creative confidence of finding the best solutions for problems. You should be, of course, problem solvers. You should be good listeners to people. Whenever people are narrating their problems, or whenever people are talking to you, the end users, you should be a good listener. You should be a good learner from their experiences. And definitely you should come up with your solutions, and you should be a good storyteller, right? To influence people to basically explain your idea or your solution to others, right? To other stakeholders. So that is what it is. So whether you are a UX designer, whether you are a visual designer, whether you are a user researcher, all these things you should have, right? I mean, these are some of the important things that you should take care of. Anyway, so if you want to take a screenshot of this particular slide, you are free to do this. There are some resources here. I highly recommend the last link on your screen right now. It's a Nielsen Norman group in YouTube channel, youtube.com/user/NN group. NN stands for Nielsen Norman. So please visit their YouTube channel. So they are basically publishing a lot of information, a lot of videos about user experience design, right? So it will definitely help you. And these are some of the books that will help you. You can, of course, take a screenshot of this slide as well. So I remember Professor Sonal talking about Don Norman. So that is the first book that is on your screen on the left-hand side. So the design of everyday things, right? So that is the Bible for designers, I will say. So please go ahead and buy the book if you can, or a PDF copy if you can find that one. So this is the basis for any design discipline out there, right? So that is what it is. So anyway, thank you very much for listening to me. My name is Anas K. So you can connect with me in LinkedIn. I also write about design in my blog, that is designpulli.com. So thank you very much for listening to me. Thank you very much. Take care.
Thank you so much, Mr. Anas. Lovely inputs. I'm sure the students will enjoy this, and especially coming in from an industry person gives a lot of thought process to the students on how it's currently being used. So thank you so much. We now move to the last speaker of the day and would like to invite Professor Dr. P.S. Ranjan, and sir would talk about, I'm sure many of the students today do not know whether they are eligible, the appetite, can they do it, the interest levels. So here is the answer for all of you. Over to you, Professor Ranjan, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'll just share my screen.
Sure. Yeah, visible.
So I'll just start directly with the eligibility criteria that is there. You should have at least 50% marks in 10+2 or equivalent in any stream from a recognized board. It can be art, science, or commerce. English is one of the courses that is mandatory. Or you can have a diploma, again 50% aggregate in 3 years with English as one of the courses. And there would be a design aptitude test, or if you have already taken USEED, the test score in USEED would be one of the criteria that would have an advantage. I think the next slides, I think Mr. Anaska has already taken through us. I'll just repeat the same thing. So basically here, apart from the eligibility part, so anybody can design. So what does it mean? Can join. Design can be found in all aspects of our life. It's ubiquitous. And to be a designer, one needs to be both analytic and creative. That is, one needs to understand the problem that is around us in the society. And one needs to solve these problems around us. That's what designer does. For this, anybody who wants to be a designer needs passion. So anybody who has passion to observe the problems, understand and solve it can be a designer. That's why this one, anybody can design, is one of the things that is becoming quite popular in the design world. What are we doing here in Bds? We are going to provide you a platform and also train you to design in a systematic and organized manner, so that we'll act like a catalyst or an accelerator for you becoming a designer as quickly as possible. So with this, I'll end this one, eligibility prerequisite and eligibility part. Any questions?
The questions will keep coming, sir, on the question answer tag.
Okay.
You could stop sharing and I'll put in my screen.
Yes.
So thank you so much, sir. And it's a wonderful insight to understand what does it take today for a student to look at the career in design. Design, of course, is a very sought after career, and with the kind of developments happening, the kind of new things coming in, the kind of energy levels, and as rightly pointed out by Mr. Nirmal, the job profile of a designer today is very unique. Every day is innovative, every day is fun. And that's what today the younger generation is looking out for as a career. So thank you so much for giving the insights. This is a message to all the students that who are looking at the career. We have the examination dates, the DSET exams, which is the design aptitude test for designers, and we will be quite supportive to students who are having an inclination towards this as a career. You could log on to the website of dsu.edu.in, or you could call our admission helpline numbers 46461800, and you could speak to our career advisors and get yourself registered, your application in place, so that we could invite you for a home-based proctored test under which the selection criteria would be done, and we will have these the students selected. Let me also tell you, there are just 30 seats available for this program. This is not a high volume in terms of classroom size, very focused classrooms would be there for this. The number of students would be limited to only 30 students. Hence, you could take the opportunity of filling in the applications, and we will get back to you shortly. A big thanks to all the speakers today, to all the distinguished speakers from the industry, from the Anand Sagar institution, who have taken out time to share their thoughts, share their experiences, share their line of input to all the students. I'm sure the parents and the students would have got a brief idea about what does it take today to get into a career of design and what will it be in terms of the outcomes. So thank you one and all. Have a lovely day ahead. Stay safe, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll be conducting few more webinars in the future days.
Yes.
Please get connected with the concerned people. Take it forward.
Sure, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anas. Thank you, Mr. Arvind Sunivas.